Welcome in everybody. Oh boy. I'm not happy. I was about to be so happy. I was so ready to be happy for this game. It looked all but complete. We looked like we were back. We looked like we were here to make a statement that we were going to turn things around, starting to win again against playoff level opposition in the Benz, but it was not to be the case. Couple mistakes, kind of careless ones, undo us, and we end up with a draw. When we should have absolutely gotten all 3 points. Now, is that indicative of, like I said kind of at the outset, that progress is being made and like, oh, we should be happy that, we might start winning at the Benz again? Not necessarily. However, I'll take a win when I can get it. And this is unfortunately just a repetition of a lot of what we've seen already, what we're unfortunately having to come to expect now. After Garf's comments on 92.9 and a lot of other things that we've seen, it seems like the season is a bit of a punt. And that's very unfortunate. And not only will I be joined by my co-host, AJ, but I will also be joined by a third co-host, my cat, who's walking around behind me right now. So if you hear him, say hi. AJ, welcome. How are you doing? What are you thinking? How are you feeling? Did you get concussed after that? That just clobbering that we got it towards the end? Like, why did we again forget how to play soccer in one entire half of a game? It's like night and day, one half, and then the other half we completely shut off.
Yeah, it's a bitter feeling, I would say, coming from the Benz, and it's definitely not a jubilant crowd after that. Pretty much like 10 minutes before kickoff, it looked like it was gonna be barren, but yeah, around maybe 30,000 did show up. Paid attendance is a little bit higher, but energy wise, not exactly the loudest, but there are a lot of casuals. It's the casuals have taken over the spaces that the people usually that have season tickets are, and ultimately you can kind of tell the atmosphere is different. But those that decided to show up for the match got a gift in the fastest goal in Atlanta United history. So, at the very least, there is that to enjoy. And, if you weren't in your seats, if you weren't watching before, the first 20 seconds, well, damn, that sucks. But because it was a very good team goal. It was, from kickoff, we looked like we had a purpose. We looked like what we were trying to do was hurt NYCFC from the off. And, a quick kickoff to Brooks Lennon on the right. And, he was able to find, Muyumba and, quickly lay it off to Saba, who Saba was able to square it to Rios, who in the box, he's been clinical. He's been, I think, a guy that pieces are attacked together, and when he's not on the pitch, it looks like he's not on the pitch. He's a good target forward. He's a good he's a good player that can link up play. And when Tiara came on, I felt like it was different. I feel like it was we already didn't really have a lot of possession, but we had even less possession. It was even more helter-skelter. And
just to go over that real quick while you're on that topic, in the first half, we had 41, they had 59. In the second half, we had 39, and they had 61. That averages to 40-60, so in terms of possession.
Right. And what can you say the last time we did that at the Benz was not often, but it is pretty much the ethos that Valentino is trying to, really parlay into his squad is to make sure that, in possession, we're trying to do something dangerous. And yeah, I mean, we were trying a lot of things. Our possession kind of stats and accuracy stats, nothing to write home about. But that first half, I mean, we did pretty much what we needed to do. Sans a couple of kind of mental gaffes, but we were at least alert enough to make sure the final ball was not in the back of the net defensively. Second half, that's a whole different story. It's
like I said,
cliche.
like what is that? Why is that happening? That's multiple games we've seen like that.
Right. I think it's a little bit of this. Schleich isn't really in complete game rhythm, nor has he played, a lot of minutes recently, and so I don't know. Maybe it's mentally fatigued, and he just wasn't fully aware where the NYC attacker was, and just the hospital ball that is just a gift. And
as a defender, how do you not have tabs on where the opponent striker is at all times? Like they did this. I know I saw this thing on Instagram about how Messi, how many times he scans the field as he's walking around. He scans it so many more times than anyone else. I feel like our players probably could scan a little more, considering we're letting some guys get in positions that surprise us that shouldn't be surprising us.
Absolutely. And it's it is one of those things, like, it's lauded as a skill, but it also is like, I mean, a lot of players can do it. It's not like it's pace. It's not like it's strength. It's literally something that, it takes some neck muscles, I mean,
it also has to do with IQ, too, a bit, I would imagine, like your soccer IQ.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, you can scan all you want, but if you don't take in the information fast enough, then, it's moot. But from that standpoint, at least, though, to scan more, it is something that I feel like, yes, anybody can do that 50% at least. And it's a bad mistake, and it leads to pretty much kind of some floodgates a little bit that you could feel that second one coming, because NYCFC just smelled blood. They realized, okay, we're back in this. We can, they're not infallible. It's, this version of Atlanta United can be got. And pretty much it's like holding on for dear life. Pretty much, like, the 8 minutes was not like, oh yeah, we have 8 minutes to possibly score. It was like, these 8 minutes we have to do something. And then once we got some of the ball, then okay, we were trying to play it into a little bit of the corners, trying to make some things happen, but just too little too late at some points. But man, it's the two penalty shots, both are very soft, but one gets overturned by VAR and one doesn't. And
what did you think of the call on Lennon? Did you think it was a deserved penalty, or?
So they don't show the replay in the stadium, so I only have one look at it.
Okay.
And so when it's going against us, they don't show us. When it's for us, then of course they're going to show a whole bunch of replays, and people are going to be livid and all that. So they showed it, I think, one time. People were also still livid, and I think it's naive defending. Like, you just don't put your hands on somebody in the box.
Two hands, even.
Yeah.
I mean, that
exactly.
Just, like, my whole thing, like, because I was, we were having a lively discussion in the Discord about it. It's that, like, one hand is one thing, and, like, maybe, like, a tug or a pull, like, that oftentimes gets, unchecked or what have you. However, two hands, even if it's a tiny little tug, like, that guy's going to feel that, and he's going to drop, because he knows when you have two hands on, it just looks way worse. You could tug much harder with one hand and and then not go down, and then, or if he did, they would be like, get up, that's no call. But with two hands, it just looks bad. So if you're gonna do that in the box, you gotta know that a clever guy like Magno is gonna go, I'm gonna take my chances. And he went down and forced the ref to make what I would consider to be a not that hard call to make. It's two hands pulling on a player. Even if it wasn't that much, how are you going to be able to determine in the moment? And that's not obviously incorrect in my opinion to say like, well, if you really, really watch it and you play it at like 1/100th speed, you can tell there wasn't enough newtons in the pool that we can measure. And it's just like, it was a good enough call at the time that I thought, made sense.
Right. And it's also this, he's not going anywhere. Like, there are two players that are marking him, and so you didn't need to put your hands on him. And yes, even if he got across in, I feel like there were enough players in the box to cover it. So it was naive defending, really made it where it just puts ourselves under the cosh, and unnecessarily. And Guzan, it's like, he's got one save in his 8 years here. Like, he's not saving that penalty.
No.
And doing it the wrong way. It is what it is. It's, there's no, at that point, Guzan was doing really well in terms of, the saves that he had to make. But, ultimately, nothing he could do about the two goals, unfortunately. It's just, again, a hospital ball, a penalty, two self-inflicted goals at the Benz. Like we've mentioned it this year many times, we find new ways to just concede and either lose or draw games, and it's just
if anyone blames Brad Guzan for that goal, the Slish assisted goal, basically, I just think you're missing the point, by saying that that's his issue. It's just not.
People are looking for scapegoats, and he's the easy target because he's the last line of defense. But it's just,
I mean, you can't give a one-on-one with the goalie unless you're New York City and it's Yonde Silver coming at you, and you give him a one-on-one, and then he will probably mess it up. So.
Yeah, or Silva when he's pretty much one-on-one, and
that's who I meant. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but TRA, as well. Man, I wish there was goal line technology with watches, because it's, who knows? Yeah,
I mean, it looked pretty much like it did not go over the line convincingly to me when I've seen it on multiple angles on TV. It just didn't look like it went over. So I wasn't too upset about it. It just sucks that goalie made a heroic save, as goalies want to do when they're in the Benz. So, and then there was the other opportunity, was Silva's shot going off of the post. It was just, and he got a fingertip to that perhaps could have kept it out as well. So, and he got a player of the match day for his team. So, good for him. I mean, he absolutely stepped up. I mean, it's so annoying when goalies, have amazing games against us, and it seems often and too frequent.
Right. But it's also that. It's like, well, I think a lot of times we're just not very clinical. And I think that's the crux of it, is that, we can be unlucky, but it is pretty much at the end of the day, some of our ball striking isn't good enough.
Yeah.
And, there's that Muyumba chance as well. I mean, yes, he's hitting it with his left. It's on the volley, but, I mean, it's just one of these, we need to put that on target, I think.
It's also just a pattern of Muyumba missing those types of shots. He, gets shots, multiple times a game sometimes, at least once often in a game, and it just doesn't really ever go anywhere. And Silva's starting to get to the point where a far larger amount of shots are counted as misses or saves than they are goals nowadays. So I'm a lot of people are saying, at least on in the Discord and on social media, I've noticed that they're kind of getting a little sick of Silva. They're kind of happy that he's on a short-term contract.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what it is. It's like, yeah, in possession and attacking down the wing, he's brave. Absolutely. He's one of the players that, he is not afraid to take a player on. And, he could fail 3 times out of 4, but he's still going to continue to try to attack and, go at you. And so that I can admire the courage, but there is a looseness in how he plays. And I think, well, it's almost exemplary of kind of Valentino ball at the moment is, just keep trying stuff. And, one might come off. And, okay, like, I don't mind that as much because safety in the final third, not really all about that. It's, try stuff. Try to make things happen. Shoot, but maybe there is a looseness in his back heels that, don't always be trying to do something fancy because you're going to get clattered next time you do that. And if it comes off, like, the opposition doesn't like that. But if you can, kind of beat them on the dribble fairly, I have no qualms with that. Yeah. But if you fail still, trying to attack, trying to dribble at people, okay, you're doing stuff. Like, I think what we're expecting from a left winger, I think, is loftier expectations than maybe what we can actually bring in at the moment. But yes, if we have the opportunity to bring in a better player on the left wing, I'm all for it. Because,
yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I think at this level right now, like, Silva is hardly the problem. I think it's, he's a contributor to some problems, but it's not where I'm like, this loss, man, Silva, what was he doing? No, it's not any of that right now. I think he's a player that's actually connecting what we're trying to do, and I have fewer complaints of what he's doing. And I think to give credit as well, I mean, Ronald Hernandez, we've kind of slated him a little bit.
A little bit.
With his defending. Yeah. But this match, he was solid enough, Like,
he didn't make an egregious play that resulted, like, he didn't lose his mark on the far post and let an easy goal in this game. That's the standard, the bar we have for him.
I know, exactly. But no, to give him due credit as well, defensively, I saw a little bit more bite from him, a little bit more awareness, and some more care on the ball. So, we'll give him the credit when it's due, and I think he deserves that. Like, it was, especially when it's a 4-man back line. The graphic from LA United, it's like, Silva is not playing left wing back. Like, what are you guys doing? Like it's not fooling anybody. Like, least of all NYCFC. They're not gonna think, oh, well, Silva, Willie, is he gonna play? No. In no way in hell is that ever happening. But yeah, I mean, somehow as well, like, it looked all right. Like, this is the thing. It's like between the two left footers of Abram and Williams, they looked all right.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of them that we conceded those goals. So, it's just boneheaded mistakes that kind of undo us. And yeah, I mean, preventable. But also, on the other side, on attack, it was some patterns of play, some positional play that I think are repeatable. And that I really like. That's something we can build on, because we haven't seen that in a minute, where, the link-up play, the combinations are looking decent. Now it's just connecting that and doing that for 90 minutes. That's the next step. That's, I don't know. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you say repeatable. I take a little bit of umbrage with the use of that term, because I feel like when we do that, when we have like a really, really great team goal like that, I just feel like it's flash in the pan. Like it's almost accidental. Like it's like, okay, they tried something and a spark of creativity hit, and it just worked. Like, you know, it just somehow it just worked. It's not like they planned it or this was a concept they had. Like, it's like, you know, I get that they'll be like, you know, me and you will play off each other, right? We'll do something like that. But like when they do something, like a lot of these interplays are like deflections and bounces off of the defense too, to get the ball past them and things like that. So it's not exactly like they planned for this. It's like it's a bit of chaos ball and a little bit of back healing, a little bit of, you know, creativity to, you know, give them their credit. And then they get lucky with a shot on goal that ends up going in. I feel like because that doesn't happen every game, and it seems like it's rare, I feel like it's not exactly repeatable. It's more so you can expect this once in a while out of kind of the opportune chance that it appears. Like a unicorn. It's not exactly like this is something we do every game. You know, Atlanta United, they're going to do that. Like, I just don't see that.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, obviously, like I mentioned, we haven't been doing that. But I think from kickoff, we had a set play that we were trying to do, which was try to, you know, get it to the wing quickly and really try to, you know, pin them back very early.
Yeah, trying to bum rush them.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's definitely repeatable. I feel like, you know...
Yeah, the bum rushes. I agree.
Yeah, going from kickoff, this is something that a lot of, you know, maybe not a lot of, but like some teams in Europe really did for, you know, like they were known for like, yeah, you got to be switched on from minute one. And, you know, I think it's like with, you know, Lennon kicking off to him, it's like, yeah, he's got the pace, he's, you know, he's the right back. It's not necessarily like, you know, the left winger is always gonna be switched on, and so, you know, it's something that can be repeatable. And then with the positional play that we had, which was where our attackers were placed, you know, when he got the ball, I think it's repeatable. I think it's something that, you know, with the players that you know, because he basically, when he passed it to Muyumba had a couple options. And, you know, with Saba running in behind, or was it? Yeah, was it Saba? I'm trying to remember the picture in my head now. But he had a player running in behind, and then he also had Saba. So he had two options there, and that's always good. You know, and that's not a fluke. Like, that's players positionally aware of where they need to be to give players options, you know, making runs. And so, yeah, defender doesn't know who to mark, and then so, you know, the easy ball for him, you know, was that to Muyumba, and then, you know, because he saw that Saba was already there, you know, the flick was on. You know, it didn't have to be as cute of a flick as he did, but it was definitely a very good flick. And so, you know, I think it's that's something that I see, you know, from the training grounds. I feel like that's something that they practiced, but I don't know, you know, I can't know for sure, but that's just my inkling. And
well, I hope they it's repeatable. I hope they do practice, you know, giving, like, putting, you can practice chaos to a degree, and you can practice generating creative sparks by putting yourselves in those positions often, and then kind of, okay, it's like, if I kind of do things this way, the ball might go that way, and I can expect Zonde to be here, and then if it's a 50-50 type thing, there's a 50% chance that ball gets to him, and I can just do it like that or something. So like if they do it like that, they practice those kind of chaos scenarios, then they can kind of govern things better in the direction that we need it to go. I can get behind that, because I feel like we oftentimes don't end up the winners on 50-50 balls a lot, and that is kind of a little frustrating.
definitely one of our things is that we're not winning a lot of our duels.
Or there's like, if you do win it, I've noticed, the ball just like our guy gets the foot on it, or we seem to have controlled it for like a second, it just goes to another opponent player instead of our guy. It's like in hockey, whenever you like win the face-off, the idea is to win the face-off and get it to your guy. If you win the face-off and it goes to the other team, who cares if you won the face-off? So it's like with this, it's frustrating when your guy gets they get to the ball first, they win the encounter, but then they, because they got pushed a little bit, their foot then hits the ball and it kind of loses a tiny bit of possession, just enough so another opponent player can come in and sweep it away from them. Instead of our other guy noticing, a player coming to help came and went, oh, this guy perhaps looks like he might lose this. Maybe if I go close enough, the ball might fall to me by accident instead of it falling to another player by accident. I just feel like we're always kind of on the wrong side of that.
Why? Yeah, well, I feel like you're seeing why also as well why Rios is playing versus TRA, because I think when he wins the ball, he's getting it to one of our teammates versus TRA.
Yeah.
TRA tonight, it was man, the ball was like hitting the I don't know, a highly rubberized wall or something. It was just bouncing off and
it's covered in flubber.
Wayward. Yeah, it's just that is not what we want. And so he was winning the duel, but then it's not going anywhere good for us.
Yeah, exactly. But and I guess it comes down to being technical and able to control the ball, and that's because we don't have a lot of players that can always do that, and it can be frustrating sometimes. So anyway, before we get any further in, let's jump in with Niall. Niall, welcome in. How you doing?
All right.
Have any thoughts on what you heard already, or do you want to start it off with a new topic?
Well, I mean, I guess kind of what I've heard already. I mean, it's frustrating for me to just for the match to end the way it did. For me, it reminds me a lot of the performance against Philadelphia Union, the match where I think ultimately put Atlanta United in the spiral for the remainder of the season.
Broke us.
Yeah, broke us pretty much, literally. Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because the first half I had a lot of fun. I think the team played very well, but then just second half you just let NYCFC back into the match out of nothing, a mistake, and now you end up with just 1 point instead of 3, and you really need those points, especially when I think right now teams like Nashville and other teams towards the bottom are struggling. This was a perfect opportunity, to climb up the Eastern Conference, as the season's coming to a close sooner than we think. So Atlanta has to really start getting some wins.
Mm-hmm. And this was a very much a game that if you're up, you need to win, because your next match is against Columbus.
Yeah.
You if you have a lead, you need to do everything it takes to keep the lead. And yeah, it's poor. But as well, Philly,
yeah, I was just about to say. I was just about to say, AJ, yeah, because what Niall was saying, yeah, they were the team that broke us, Bane with Batman with our back, right? But what did it cost them? Thanos, they've lost it all there. Now it's just even somehow below us.
Yeah, to go along with that metaphor, Ra's al Ghul and what's his sister's name? Talia.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Something like that.
We'll go with that. They fucked themselves up too. So,
what did it cost them?
Exactly. But and that's just what it is. It's maybe agents of chaos. Just we're both just agents of chaos.
We certainly were to Toronto, that's for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Niall, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't really have much else really to say besides just that. For me, I thought the team offensively played pretty well compared to the match against Montreal, where we literally had 0 shots on goal. Shande, I thought it a pretty good match. I was hearing you guys talking about how you liked his performance, and I agree with that.
Well,
Sweesh, I thought.
to be fair,
Michael didn't.
I
appreciated his
yeah,
performance.
I have mixed feelings about his performance tonight. Overall, I have mixed feelings about him, and I was also parroting a lot of what other people were saying. I was kind of giving voice to some people in Discord and on social media who were saying, you know, Zonde, maybe we're kind of happy he's on a short-term contract. And I started calling him halfway into this game flat tire Silva, because every time he was shooting it, it just seemed like his foot was a big flat tire. Just, I don't know why he couldn't get any power. Like, even the commentators were like kind of tossing him some shade about it. Like, oh, Shande another shot with like a mute left foot or a mute right foot. And I'm like, Jesus, man. It's just like, and then I started thinking back too, a lot of other games. Like, he, once in a while, he hits the ball and it's like, damn, that was an awesome shot. But I feel like 80% of it is just duds.
Well, so it's his ball striking is inconsistent because I think his body shape. So when he's on the left side, it's a lot easier for him to strike it hard, and we've seen it from really acute angles how he's be able to put it top bins. So it's like, okay, like on the left, that's really where he thrives. In front of goal, like in front of the mouth of goal, that's just like, don't give him the ball there. Like, it pretty much is like, anywhere but there, because it's just the most tamest shots. And
so what you're saying is we should play him on the right, inverted, and Saab on the left. That's what you're saying.
No. I'm saying from the left. From the left, where he is. But
it seems like most of his chances were like from in front of goal / coming in from like the right or something. So at least this way he'll be able to go on to shots a lot easier with his left versus, what he's been doing, which is flubbing shots in front of goal.
Yeah, no, it's just basically, if he's near the penalty spot, like he's anemic. It's just unfortunate. But like if he
just never lands on his left foot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not going to use his left foot. I think we've seen, enough sample size from him that it's like, I'm not. It's like standing peg only, pretty much. It's like there's not much going on with his left, but the right. It's good enough if you get him in the right spaces. So if you find him in the right spaces, okay, cool. Like he can make some things happen. But anywhere pretty much penalty spot to the right wing. Yeah, you don't really want him there. Don't give him the ball there. Like, it's maybe he can do a back flick and get it onto some of the other players that are on the right wing. But other than that, it's like he's a limited player to some degree, but his strengths are good for this team at the moment. Like I said, hardly the person that we should be complaining about hardcore, but. Because the alternative is Mosquera. So, yeah.
I can't even afford Mosquera right now.
Yeah. So, like, I'm gonna choose Silva over Mosquera 100 out of 100 times. Like, I don't need that blistering pace that doesn't do anything really. Like, and we missed the trick with the metaphor with Bane. Some men just want to watch the world burn. So
I think that was the Joker.
No. I think that was the Joker. Ah, man, dude, it's late. Anyway, but we'll blame it on.
Wait, hold on. I think that's also the Joker. Like the one who's like some men can't be reasoned with. That's also the Joker, right?
We need to rewatch the.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, dude, this movie's came out like 2005 or some shit like that. I don't know. It's so long ago.
Yeah, it was like 2010 or something. Yeah.
I don't know. Niall wasn't even born yet. Is wild time.
No, it's crazy.
2005. Where do you?
I'm just kidding.
He came out of the womb with that beard. It was insane. Like, it's just. Unfathomable. Like, he just. I don't know. Like the whole family is just got beards. But anyway,
I don't even think that's true because I know his dad.
yeah, sure. I think you have a younger brother too, right?
Yeah, he has a beard.
He has a beard too. See?
Yeah.
Not wrong. I'm not wrong. But anyway.
So, Niall, what did you think of? Because AJ was mentioning something repeatable for next game in terms of the offense with our bum rush right off the draw technique. What did you think of that? Do you think it's repeatable? Should we keep doing it?
I mean, it's a good technique, and I like that idea, but I just wonder how, like, repeatable that is. Like, I don't know. Like, I think it's repeatable, but at the same, I don't know. Like, it's hard because, like, I feel like with some teams, they're going to be more switched on than that with what New York, how New York was. I feel like some better defensive teams will be more switched on for that to not happen, in my opinion. So I really feel like it depends on the team you're playing against.
So you think we're not seeing it against Columbus on Saturday?
I mean, I think we could see it, but then also the risk is that if it doesn't work out, then you have Columbus on the counter coming at you. So
yeah, I mean, if there's a team that it may not work out against, it might be Columbus.
probably.
Well, it's possible, and especially after they see that goal, it's like, yeah, they're gonna like, okay, well, we should not, because they're gonna watch highlights. It's made the rounds around MLS as well with the fastest goal in LA United history, all that type of stuff. So yeah, they're gonna be aware, but you have the lesser teams that aren't able to maybe do that homework, do that research, especially in Leagues Cup. All those just ancillary type of things where these teams aren't going to be able to scout every single play.
Right.
So
I gotta ask you something. I need to ground myself so I don't feel like I'm losing my mind. Also, so when talking about like this bum rush idea, like right off the draw, go fast, try and get an early goal. Isn't that the idea for every team? Like, isn't everyone really gonna just try to score right off the bat?
No. It's really not, because you have some teams that essentially they want to be a little bit more conservative. They don't want to completely expose themselves. They don't want to be a team that's spreads themselves too thin. But I think when we're at home, it's like, you have this ability to pretty much kind of get the whole stadium behind you if something goes really, really well. And I think we were able to do that. NYCFC definitely felt the pressure. They weren't really able to muster too much. They had the lion's share of possession but didn't do shit with it. So ultimately that second half, when they were in the company of their manager, they were able to figure out where the deficiencies were so that they could attack us and hurt us. And it was through their press. It was through making sure that they were close enough to us that they could force a mistake, and they did. So it's just it's one of those things, when we're in possession, it's our Achilles heel. It's just straight up, we look and are very susceptible when we're trying to play out from the back. It's just we don't have the technicians. We don't have the positional play so that these players know where they need to be in order for us to be successful into playing out and to playing it through the lines, so that the players in the front can get the ball so that they can actually score from those. So it's just our best bets are from counterattacks, from set pieces, from those type of things that we can actually work on and not have to rely on every single player on the pitch being technically sound and quote unquote a technician. At that point, you only need a few, maybe a couple technicians. You're that smash and grab team. There are very successful teams that are able to pretty much go that route and get a lot of results. So it's not unprecedented.
Yeah. So, Niall, I also wanted to get your take on the fact that we had 16 fouls this game. New York City only had 7. Now, I was trying to figure out, one of the guys in the Discord was saying, well, it's because we were getting outplayed, so we felt we had to do desperate defending by kind of getting stuck in with a lot of challenges and pushing them around. I think it could possibly be a little bit of that, but I think it also could be something else. What do you think was going on with, and why did we get 3 yellows to their 1? Why do we have so many fouls to their not so much? Like, was it instruction from Rob perhaps that's like, we need to get stuck in and bully these guys around physically?
I mean, maybe it's more instruction, because the worst alternative is that you don't foul them and then they score a goal. So I think part of the way that I think we're trying to deal with like conceding less goals is like to be a bit more aggressive. So I think that is one of the reasons. And I think also just the second half in general, it just opened up a lot for New York. The subs they brought on, Maxime Morales, I think, came on into the match, and I forgot the other person, but that pretty much, I think, brought a lot of momentum to New York, and it put Atlanta on the heels. So
yeah, I mean, it's Maxime Morales is a space creator. I mean, it's just like who he is. And that's the problem. And ultimately on the other side, we didn't really have anybody that could do it for ourselves. And we're just a giant-sized hole of Thiago Almada that is very apparent. As much as Muyamba can try, like, it's just not going to be anything similar. And then Fortune is just like nowhere close. So, but it is like Fortune. He's maybe not misplayed, maybe not even miscast, but it's just it's a misfit there, obviously. And but what he gives you is energy. What he gives you is that steal, and it is something that maybe is needed to close out a match. But I think Schleich and McCarty, I think to see full 90s from them, like I don't know yet. Like, together anyway. Like, them two in midfield is just not athletic enough. It's not going to cover as much ground as we need to see out matches, nor from a technical standpoint to get what we need to close out matches, I think, too. So it's I think probably one of them should have been taken off earlier, but I think it's also, I mean, we don't really have anybody. I mean, it's like maybe we bring Firmino, but Firmino's like, he's left a little bit to be desired too. It's like his touch maybe isn't good enough for MLS quite yet.
So I think Lennon got a yellow this game for arguing.
Yep.
And does that mean he is out for next game?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay, good. Because I heard some people saying that was the case. Maybe they were miscounting. So
I mean, he kind of frustrated figure after the penalty, and kind of at times too during the match. I mean, you can kind of see a little bit of some pressure mounting on him a little bit. Usually he's a pretty stoic character, but he's arguing a ton, and usually that's a sign. Yeah.
Let's look at a couple. We only have like 5 comments right now, so get your guys' comments in. While we got Niall here to answer them, the big old brain on Niall can solve some of your questions. Brian Baird says, I love Lennon and he's on a good contract for us, but why both hands, man? It was kind of like what I said. Connor says, I think Lennon is very dumb. Well, he's not. I think he means to say he was very dumb. However, from the replays, I don't see much pull. The contact is the foul. It would be if it was the foul. The contact is the foul. It would be the pull. I just don't see it. I am also fine with if that's the standard, though, throughout. Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand what you're saying. Yeah. If there was a pull, but it's like, again, how do you measure that? I just didn't see it in the replay. But at the same time, you can't give the ref that amount of freedom to make that kind of decision because he sees two hands, and in the moment, it could absolutely be a pull. And then it's like, well, the guy went down, make the call. Seems pretty standard to me.
Yeah, I don't know about pull. I think it was more like a push than if anything, because the way he falls, it's not like he's being dragged back or something. It's more he's. Like,
I mean, on the replay, it very much looks like a pull, but that's why everyone was saying it's a flop because Magno fell forwards. Yeah,
it's just it's one of these. It's the age-old argument of, okay, if you call it outside the box and, if that's a foul outside of the box, then okay, it should be the same inside the box. But I feel like, even outside of the box, it's not like, this isn't a foul that is, normally, like, I feel like it would have been just called off. But, it is what it is. Like, he shouldn't have put two hands. Like, that's his egregious mistake. And, like, he wasn't even yellow carded there. So it's just like, it wasn't even that big of a foul in that sense. So it's like, it's just clumsy. It's all that. Either way, he shouldn't have done it. But on the other way around, with Williams, it's like, okay, you have the offside call, like that, ultimately is the determining factor. But it's like, okay, if it's the process, and we found that out, from the 5 minutes that we spent trying to look at that, okay, fine. Well, at least we didn't get it, however.
So. At least we didn't get howevered. Brian Baird says, doesn't matter if he grabbed him, you put two hands on someone. You're asking for the call. You got to be professional. Connor Watson says, I do believe that was Lennon's fifth yellow, but he'll have to double check.
Yeah, but is it through how many matches?
Yeah.
Right, because you get that reprieve with however many.
Well, we will look into that for everyone and get back to you. So Niall, is there anything else you wanted to go over? Any positives that you can take away from this game? I mean, are you a little worried about what Garf said on 92.9 in the game about how, there isn't going to be a permanent head coach installed until 2025?
So for that comment, I understand the worry behind it, but for me, my thought was that they were always going to stick with Rob till the end of the season, for me. I think for me, they want to take time with this coaching decision. They've not hired a search firm yet, obviously, but for me, I think I would rather them take the time to hire the right coach instead of just rush to sign one. So for me, like, I get the risk that comes with it, though, because fans might feel like, oh, you're punting on the season or whatever. But ultimately, at this point, I think you have to get the right guy in, because you've had too many periods where you've had to fire a coach after just 2 seasons or even 1 season, and that needs to change. You need to get Atlanta back on track, and you need to hire somebody that can get more from this group.
Yeah. Go for it.
Also on that, because it's the aspect of, well, we're in whatever, we're at 10th or 11th, so we're in that place in the East, to ask a coach to come into this situation where there's no DPs, pretty much, and playing the way we are, where it's clearly broken. There's a lot to fix. Like, it's maybe easier with a clean slate, but from an optics standpoint, like I mentioned in a lot of previous stuff, like, they need to make moves, and they need to make them now. And that's the tough part is, okay, will the DPs that are brought in will that be enough to bring back the season ticket holders that are out? Because I think we've seen a lot of chatter, not only in our community, but a lot of different communities, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, so many places where season ticket holders are showing their displeasure because raising the ticket prices, even if it's only marginal 6 to 10%. The problem is there's that other chart of other cities and their salaries, and then the price of the season tickets, and you see all the other cities, their median salary is more than ours, but ours is the most for the season tickets. Like, I can't verify that chart and the stats on that, but
so you could be peddling misinformation.
I could be, but if that were true, my God,
yeah,
like, it is a large difference. It's hundreds, and throughout the years, it's like, okay, sure, like it's one of these things. Like, do they need the hundreds difference when you have like tens of thousands more than pretty much the next competitor?
Yeah,
in terms of attendance.
I mean, the only thing I could like possibly understand is because the reason why you consistently like increase the price of things is to go to either your stakeholders or your sponsors and things like that, and then say like, we project X amount more growth, so you need to give us more money. And then in that world, the funding comes rolling in, you can do more with it. And your valuation, everything goes up, things go up, lines go up. So like that's still like the way I see it. But like at the same time, you have to weigh that against like straight up like fleecing your fan base. And I wanted to get what your answer was or what your take is on the fact that like there's a potential here that at least from the aesthetics, the way it looks, this could be a punting season, and yet we have significant season ticket holding price increases. Like, does that seem a little tone deaf?
Oh, 100%. But to finish out the thought, like, well, that's the thing. What you're describing is, boards from, most clubs around the world. Atlanta United is owned by one person. There is no board. There is no, like, oh, you got to appease your stakeholders. There's one stakeholder, and it's Arthur Blank. Like, there is nothing about like, okay, yeah, the only thing is if it's Garth Lagerwey saying, hey, we're just making you more money, so this is a success. It's a great season. You made more money. Look at the bottom line. Look, we're in the black. Okay, if that's the case, then that's a bigger worry. But yeah, regards to the tone deaf part, hell yes, it's tone deaf. Like, there's, the Garth Lagerwey video, yes, there was also the kind of gaslighting video that kind of made its rounds too. And, I mean, it just comes across that way, though. Like, even before seeing the gaslighting video, it was like, man, like, oh, do they just take us for idiots? Like... that, okay, yeah, we're just going to go along with it because, well, that's the thing is you have those people that are defending it. Like, oh, it's only a 6 to 10% increase, so it's, it's not that big of a deal. And then you look at the context where it actually might be where we're paying way more than everybody else for what? Yeah.
And then if you compound it with, like a lot of people were saying, it's not just this year of like some people saying 6% or whatever. But like the year before was what I was hearing was a very dramatic increase. And then that added to this, you're looking at like with some people, a 20% increase in 2 years, which is pretty insane. When you measure that against like inflation and other things in the economy, like it's just like, that's a lot. So I don't really see a lot of a justification when your product on the field has been so lackluster. And I get like plans, budgets, estimations were, thought up and put into place like long ago. And so they have to try and keep to them with minimal adjustment. So it's like, they set this plan and they're trying to reach it regardless of what happens during the season. And that's tone deaf and obnoxious, because it's like, maybe adjust a bit more. Maybe show a little bit of good faith and acknowledging, okay, we have fallen significantly below where our standards are and what we want. And as a way of saying sorry of some sort, here's our way of doing that.
Here's a buyback program where you can only make your decisions on when you're not going to matches in January. So yes, we're going to revolve our entire existence around Atlanta United in January. It's just like, bruh, like there's that. It's just.
Well, it's also like the buyback is credits towards the 2026 season too. So it's like getting store credit. You don't even really get like. What if the next season is even worse? Then it's like, oh, why? I don't want that game. I want money back. I don't want that I paid for that. But it's like you're guessing and you're hoping that you're paying for a product that isn't really there yet, and you're hoping that it turns out all right. And past indications are good reflections of the future, and it doesn't look too bright.
Exactly. It's basically, it is essentially people that are trying to hang on for dear life, essentially. And you have tens of thousands of people that are on the hook, but there's a lot of people that are going to eschew having tickets because, straight up, on the resale market, people are getting face value. If they can't even give away tickets, all right. And then beyond that, it's like, okay, buying the tickets itself is cheaper, a la carte.
Yeah.
So, like, again, riddle me this of like, what incentives is there to being a season ticket holder, even a founding member? Like, I don't see it. I don't see the value. Like, we get a paper hat or a fucking tumbler that is worth nothing, or whatever the other thing was, and it's embarrassing that like, and it was weeks late. It was 3 weeks into the season or something like that. So again, what value am I getting for being a season ticket holder and a founding member?
And at the highest, being at, like you were referencing that chart, being at the highest levels of season ticket holding expenditure versus like any other club in MLS. It would be interesting to see like what they get, in comparison. Is it that much worse than what we get and that justifies that price? I have no idea. So anyway, before we put Niall to sleep with all this economic nonsense, is there anything else you wanted to impart, any of your wisdom you wanted to impart to us before we let you go?
Yeah, just to add on to the whole season ticket mess. If the team was in a position where they were winning and they were successful, then I think people would understand more the increase. But the team's in a bad position, and they have been for the past 4 years. So I think the sort of situation is pretty tone deaf. And from my understanding, I've always thought that Atlanta's goal was to get as many people involved as possible. So by doing what you're doing, you're pretty much like not letting those people in that you want, like
pricing them out.
You're pricing them out, like, because for me, I heard Garth, I think, say this once, but I think the goal for him was to expand the fan base and make Atlanta United more reputable as a club. But you're not going to do that by pricing out fans.
Yeah,
like that's not gonna happen. So I think it's highly tone deaf. I think the club needs to refigure that situation, because the fans deserve better.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I think you're right when you kind of hit it on the head with they expected to do better this season. I completely agree. I think that they expected to kind of light it up this season. And that, and so when I was saying earlier, maybe I didn't convey it very, very well, but like the idea in my mind was like, when I said they put these budgets and expectations in their business, in their like pipeline much earlier before the season begins, they did that with these expectations. And so they expected great things, and so they thought when they built their budget and what they would, increase the season ticket prices and etc., that they thought that would all make sense, that all be kosher. But one didn't, keep up, and the other one stayed the same. And I don't know why the season ticket and that plan, the business plan, stayed the same when the product dropped off. There should have been more adjustment. But there was no kind of course correction unless there was a significantly larger price increase planned that they didn't go with. So who knows?
Right, and that very well could have been the case where, it's their plan A was, let's really see how we can gouge these fans. But like to Niall's point, it was like there could have been reason to do so, and they maybe expected that. But I mean, and Garth even admitted in his one of his radio broadcasts that he definitely didn't expect us to be where we were and to the team to kind of fall apart the way it did. He really didn't see that coming, I think was his words. And that, I said it when I heard that, I thought that was alarming that he couldn't see that coming. Because it's like, well, if he didn't see that coming, then what else is he not seeing coming? Yep.
It's just, it's all 6s and 7s.
Yep, indeed. Well, Niall, great stuff, man. But
and look out for Niall's articles after every game. He does match recaps, gives you all these scintillating details and a little bit of analysis and his own thoughts as to the state of the club and where it's going. So keep an eye out for those at our Patreon, and also you'll see links to that all over the social medias, and give it a read, and do what you can also like it, you can also subscribe, you can also favorite it and share it, you can do all the things.
Indeed. But Niall, thanks so much, man. Have a great rest of your night.
Appreciate you guys.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, so that was our only guest for tonight because it's a late weekday game. We're gonna have I and AJ will be going to the game on Saturday, so not sure when we'll get back for the stream. It'll be later if we do it, but it should be a fun time. And if you guys are going to go to the game, let us know. We'll put some things in the live chat in our Discord. Make sure to plan to say hi to us. We'll be at the tailgate as well. So look out for us there. We're going to have some fun, maybe play some games, have some drinks, have some food. It'll be a good time. So stop by and say hi. Let me read one or two more comments, and then we can pretty much wrap it up. Connor says, I do believe that, he says that was Lennon's 5th yellow, but he won't be suspended because it was longer than 5 games since the last yellow. So that is the way that mechanic works. Good to know. Thanks for doing the research. Kevin B says Boca's seat has to be on fire right now. Yeah, I mean, I always feel like it had to have been for forever, but it just, they're so good. They're so good at concealing the smoke, right, of the fire. Right. They just there's no fire here.
Right. It's like a massage chair that periodically goes on fire, but then is put out by some.
It's right under a fire sprinkler.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hot. It's a little bit lukewarm, but then it's hot again. It's just a constant kind of ebb and flow with the with the flames. But I wouldn't garner anything from this match from Boca yet, but it is you have players that are doing a little bit enough of the job in the meantime while we don't have DP. So it's okay, we can kind of be okay with this, but it is as well, because how much of it is Garth Lagerwey led? So it's like, okay, if you just need a guy to do the job, well, I feel like, we might be able to find someone more talented than Carlos Bocanegra from a technical director standpoint.
Yeah.
In fact, I guarantee it.
Yeah. I mean, he literally can't be the best in the world. That's just my position has always been that. And I feel very confident in saying that.
Yeah.
All right. So if I am not hearing any objections in the chat, we will pretty much be done and done. Any final thoughts before we head out of here?
Well, yeah. So, we'll have the episode for 5 Star Weekly tomorrow, recording anyway, and then it'll be put out sometime within the next 2 days. We might even vlog on Columbus Crew match day, so we'll see. But some things to look forward to there, because there is a very gracious match day experience that's possibly might happen on Saturday, and we kind of want to give it a little bit of its due if it does happen. So a little bit of tease for that. But yeah, either way, then I mean, I think that's it for me. Those are my final thoughts. So you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sure I can muster some. It's sad, It's sad that we've come to a position in this season where all indications, for me at least, seem to point to that the team has, I mean, it's not really their, I mean, it's kind of their fault, but it's like, it's not, it shouldn't really be like this, that we have to punt the season. But it really feels like that's the way it's going. And that's just sad, because I don't want to have to watch Atlanta United knowing the foregone conclusion. That like, I feel like that's rare, if ever, the case that I'm watching this team just to finish the season and do terrible. Like, that's just like, end up not in a good place or out of the playoffs. It's like your DC United, what was it, last year, and it was decision day, and no matter even if you won and lost, you were never going to make it into the playoffs. So it's like, why even watch the game anymore? That's what it kind of feels like this season is, and that's just, I hate that.
Well, yeah. Right, but I think this is where the massive learning potential, I think, from Atlanta United, they really should take this in, and they really should use this as an opportunity to learn, because if this is the case, it shows a massive lack of foresight that we were going all in on Gonzalo Pineda. And this roster, essentially, that was clearly already flawed, but very top heavy, but then ultra reliant on like we've mentioned before, the moments of magic from talented players. And so to have no contingency plans, egregious. Like, it's just flat out, it's poor planning, it's poor management, it's poor future projections. Like, you have to have backup plans. Like, it's basically that whole, like, Mike Tyson argument of, all that type of stuff. Like, like you have to have a backup plan. You have to have, like, some sort of, well, if this and that, well, then what are we gonna do? Not, hey, this happened, our pants are caught, down around our ankles, and whoops. Like,
everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Right. So it's just like, there's something very, very broken, and I really hope that they're taking this time to audit top down, because if not, if it's just like business as usual, oh well, we're just gonna swap out some things, and we'll, like, no, it's not good enough. Like, clearly there's a lot of displeasure that's being voiced all over the internet, and hopefully in person. Like, I hope these supporters groups that are, you know, in the conversations with the club, they're voicing what they need to voice. And if not, something needs to happen. Something needs to change.
Yeah, and I'm getting DMs from people who are saying they're not renewing their season tickets, from people who I've never thought would say that. So it's there's at least, if there isn't just a whole cloth drastic drop off, there's at least a significant change of the guard. You know, like the people who come in to replace those people are probably not going to be as loyal, fervent, and as interested in the team as the immediate stalwarts were from the beginning. So, you know, who have got priced out or has lost faith. So it's unfortunate, but hey, you can always enjoy Atlanta United from the safety and comfort of your home. And that is my preferred way of doing so, because I don't have the availability of getting out of my house as often with tiny little children all over the place. So, so yeah, so that's our last word. Finally, we got to it. And yeah, so we hopefully will be able to see you guys on Saturday. Definitely make sure to stop by and say hi if you see us at the tailgate or at the stadium. We'll be there.
Indeed. Yeah, I'll sign us out. So yeah, for Michael, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Good night.